we're really excited about this opportunity to present to you guys today. We're covering contracting opportunities in California and also generally simplifying the process of doing business with large prime contractors like ourselves, the Weitz company. Just some of the topics that we'll be covering: an introduction on the Weitz company, a little bit about what we do, and an overview of work in California, both previously and current opportunities in California, and then also looking forward, what's coming down the pipeline, and hopefully opportunities that we can build our professional relationship with you guys. Information on how to work with Weitz, best practices, and then I really wanted to touch on marketing your business, especially as you mentioned, things are different now in the pandemic world that we live in. So how to approach marketing your business on both sides, whether you're a large prime, a subcontractor, a small business. So with that, I will pass the torch to Frank Toscania.
Hi, everyone. Just going to give you a nice overview of the Weitz company. We've been in business for 164 years, founded in 1855 in Des Moines, Iowa. We have offices from coast to coast between us and our sister companies, from Florida to Phoenix, Colorado, Northern California, Washington, and Virginia, amongst a bunch of others that you can see on there. We even go all the way out to Guam and Honolulu, and we do work in the Middle East. We're owned by our parent company, which is the Roscom Construction, and in total we do approximately $4 billion worth of work each year. Next slide. Okay, so as said, the Roscom is our parent company. Do work mostly out of the Middle East and Northern Africa. Weitz is our commercial business that we do work from coast to coast, and Contract Watts is our federal sister company that does work federally in the Pacific Rim and across the from coast to coast in the States. And then Besix is an infrastructure group that we have that does work in the Middle East and Northern Africa. Some of the major sectors we work in as the Weitz company are, as you can see on the screen, are higher education. We do a lot of higher ed, senior living, aviation and transportation. We have a lot of student housing, and we do quite a bit of office work up in the Colorado area. And in California, mainly right now, we're working on student housing and senior living. So our geographical footprint, you can see we have offices in Florida, we have offices in Des Moines and Nebraska, Texas, California, Washington. So basically strategically located from east to west, and we cover the entire United States.
So keeping things a little closer to home for you folks, I'm talking about work we've done there in the past and what we've got going on currently. I have the privilege to spend a fair amount of time in your nice state in the last couple of years, but it turns out Weitz has actually been building in the state of California for well over 30 years. I actually counted the number of projects on this slide just to give a fun fact, and there are 39 of them. And as you can see, they kind of span from NorCal down to South Cal. And really it's across those product lines that were on the previous slide there. There's a spattering of federal work that we've done in the state, private commercial development. We had a golf course group for a number of years. We built a number of golf courses and clubhouses. Senior living has long been in our stable. We've done a number of senior living projects in that market. Probably one of on the list that would be most recognizable to folks, the Fox Plaza project there in Los Angeles, California, is in our claim to fame for those who have seen the movie Die Hard. It's the big skyscraper that they blow up at the end of that movie. So we got to build that thing the first time. So experience in California, like I said, dates back 30 plus years, and we've got stuff going on there currently. The product that we're currently involved with, again, it's kind of a spattering. It spans a number of different product lines. You see here on this slide, the Standard at Berkeley. That is a student housing project that's currently under construction right in the core area of downtown Berkeley. It's actually just off UC Berkeley's campus. So it's student housing catering to the students. That is set for completion in June of next year. We are wrapping up a large sprinkler renovation project at the Super Bay hangar out at SFO Airport. The signature flight project that's listed here was a terminal center for signature flight at the San Jose Airport. That is actually completed. It's a couple of years old by now, but it's in the recent past. And then one that we're soon to break ground on, top of the list, Enzo Village, is actually a senior living facility that will be built up in Healdsburg, so hour north of San Francisco. It is a private development for seniors in nice wine country territory. So that's a large $170+ million project that will span over the course of a couple of years. So a fair amount of volume that were currently underway or recently completed and soon to initiate beyond the most significant opportunity on the horizon, which Bill will share a little bit about.
Well, the project that we are very, very interested in you pursuing with us is the Veterans Home of California project in Yountville. Yountville is located about 9 miles north of Napa in Napa County. You can see from the 5 bullets at the bottom, this is a $268 million stipulated sum project. It's being advertised by Department of Governmental Services, DGS, out of Sacramento. It's a design build project, and the design firm that we've partnered with has extensive experience designing and constructing veteran home projects all across the country. I think they're in the 13 to 17 number of projects that they've pursued, designed, and have opened. Our design is about 315,000 gross square feet, 2 separate buildings, one 2-story structural steel frame, and the second is a 4-story, the residential component that is comprised of 240 skilled member rooms. The unique opportunity here for you all on the phone is the 3rd bullet, and that's a 5% DVBE requirement. This is not a goal, but it's a requirement that 5% of our $268 million bid be awarded and delivered through DVBE businesses. So we are anxious to talk to all of you that meet the DVBE certification and figure out how to get you plugged into the corresponding Weitz owner of your scope of work in order to help you bid this project. The 4th bullet is a 25% small business goal. It is a goal, not a requirement, but nevertheless, we are actively pursuing small business relationships, not only for this project, but also for the 2 projects that Brian mentioned, certainly Enzo Village and potentially Santa Rosa Junior College. The last bullet there says bids are due on 9/16 of 2020. That was correct as of yesterday when we prepared the slide. It has since been changed via an addendum that we expect to have in hand today. And that extends our proposal date out about 2 weeks, and it will allow us to change the bid date to 9/24. So bids are due from our subcontract and vendor partners on September 24th. Next slide.
Sorry, guys, I'm backwards here.
Going the other way.
There we go.
So real quickly, we really like to have the opportunity to meet our subcontract partners on a face-to-face basis. We call it our boots on the ground outreach. We like to put our boots on your ground, ideally under your conference table, and meet you in a face-to-face setting. Obviously, the pandemic has changed that approach a little bit, but when we do meet, and we're doing so virtually today, the first thing we like to talk about is safety. Safety is the most important thing within the Weitz company by far. It is more important than cost, more important than schedule. It trumps everything, and we want to make sure that we send the clear message to all of our subcontract partners that safety is the most important thing we do. That's why it's the #1 item on our boots on the ground agenda. We also like to talk to you about staff planning. Obviously, pursuing a $268 million project will require that we staff the project with somewhere between 15 and 20 salaried Weitz employees on site. We will not shortchange our on-site staff planning, because we know that the success of any project is directly related to the Weitz staff that we have on the project in order to make sure we build it correctly. That staff has the responsibility to you, our subcontract and trade partners, to help you succeed. They know that is their responsibility, and they accept that responsibility to help you succeed. We then spend some time talking about the project in general. Then we begin to drill into scope, because scope is more important than cost. So we don't have opportunities to dig into number 4, number 5 specifically, but those of you that are interested in this project with us, reach out to Valerie Gibbons. Valerie will help connect you with the Weitz staff member that owns your scope, and then we can talk about that scope owner will help you through topics 4, number 5, which is scope, and number 6, which is cost. Next slide. As Brian kind of teed up, we have a number of opportunities in California. We included this slide to show you that we have a forecasted pipeline of work out through 2023, so essentially 2.5 years from now. That includes over $500 million in student housing, $500 million in senior living, and $600 million of other scopes. So this is we think a really nice opportunity for us to let you know that we are very interested in California, because we're currently active there, and we intend to leverage our current presence and the opportunities that we have in front of us through Enzo Village, Santa Rosa Junior College. We do expect to win the CalVet project in order to help us pursue and win the work you see here on the screen.
Thanks, Bill. So as my team has already mentioned, the point of this really is to connect with the local businesses, subcontractors, veteran-owned businesses, and small business enterprises in the state of California, not just for the immediate opportunities that we've discussed today, but to build long-term, meaningful relationships, because we do plan to have a presence here for the foreseeable future. So if you are someone that is interested in working with us specifically, or a large prime in general, here are some things that you should keep in mind. What we look for in subs and suppliers: understanding a complete scope of work and being able to deliver that without having to break it into smaller pieces, generally speaking. Acknowledgement of any issued amendments, so keeping up to date with RFP documents as changes are made. As you mentioned, even on CalVets, we got an addendum yesterday, so it's important that we communicate that to our subs, but also that you guys stay on top of that information as well. And then just being timely. We have deadlines, and so we need our business partners to also make sure that they are delivering in a timely manner as well. What do you need to bid? A lot of this was discussed in Bill's slide earlier, but knowing your company information, capabilities, trades, numbers of employees, your safety plan. We're interested in your safety ratings, understand the plans and specs, make sure that when you're approaching a large prime that you've seen the drawings, you understand the general idea of the project, and experience that you have, past performance, and knowledge of your bonding capacity. It's not to say that we won't work with someone that has little or even no bonding capacity in certain situations. We always try and see how we can make things work, but just an understanding and ability to discuss that up front helps us navigate the teaming relationship. Before submitting a bid, ask yourself, are you able to provide the necessary manpower and finish the job on time? Do you have the capacity to provide the products and the materials? We're always selling ourselves, whether you're the large business, the small business, you got to put your best foot forward, but also being honest in your business relationships so that you don't find yourself in a situation where you're in hot water. What's next? I'll use this particular Yountville Veterans Housing Project as an example. It tends to vary from opportunity to opportunity, but in this scenario, it would be we send the invitation to bid document, which has an overview of the specific opportunity, in this case, Yountville Veterans Housing, and then a pre-qualification form is attached to that invitation to bid. You would fill that out and include any certification letters that you might have as a DVBE or an SBE. And then we would identify the scope packages you are interested in. I would then send you an invitation to Building Connected, where you'd be prompted to sign an NDA. And once that was executed, you are into Building Connected, which is our bidding platform, where you can view all of the RFP documents. So marketing your business. This is so important for everyone in the industry, across industries really. But now all of a sudden, it's a little bit different given the pandemic. We no longer have the opportunity to connect with businesses or maybe local teaming partners face-to-face. Events are being canceled. They're being turned into virtual opportunities. And so I think it's really important for small businesses, large businesses, everyone to know how to navigate this new environment that we're seeing. Pivot your approach to marketing your business. So some things that I think that everyone should be aware of, especially marketing this to our small business potential teaming partners, is number one on the list, PTACs, Procurement Technical Assistance Centers. They're scattered throughout the US, and I think this is the number one resource that not only small businesses can utilize, but large businesses like ourselves can also look for, because PTACs are the bridge that connects all of us. They're always willing to help and to go out of their way to set up webinars like this, for example. Cal eProcure, specific to this area, this is a great platform that you can look for opportunities that are marketed by clients, or you can market yourself as a business. So that's a great portal as well. The SBA, the Small Business Administration, they're a great resource, especially for small businesses, not so much for large businesses, but they have good tools and resources for you, so that's a good one. And through them, the Veterans Business Outreach Center, the VBOC. If you're working with California state agencies, know your advocate. Each agency has their own dedicated advocate, and that should be a resource for SBE and DVBE companies. DGS, which is the department that we're working for in Yountville opportunity that we've discussed earlier. If you go to their website, they have several resources listed on their page that are also really helpful for navigating doing business with the state of California. OPPS4VETS is a great resource. This is a platform which connects veterans with other veteran-owned business companies, or maybe it's a company like ourselves who are in search of DVBE companies. This is a great tool, and I'll discuss more about OPPS4VETS in my next slide. But right now, it's all about finding events that are right for you. So I am in charge of signing our company up for virtual and in-person events when they still existed, and weighing the pros and cons of which ones we would decide to attend. So I took two that were happening in the state of California pretty recently. We have Navy Gold Coast, which we attend every year. We usually go in person, and it's a stellar event. They obviously decided to take the event virtual. So I was looking at this, $500 to exhibit and then $200 for any additional attendee. It's a 3-day event, virtual event. They have information sessions hosted by different government agencies, and overall there's about 200 different agencies and organizations that attend on average. So keeping that in our back pocket, we also looked at the 9th Annual Veteran and Small Business Summit. That is a $250 for the basic package of becoming a virtual exhibitor. But that one, and there's options to upgrade your exhibit package, but this virtual event will be open for up to 2 years. There also are virtual information sessions spanning through the course of that time. And they have so far 88 exhibitors and growing. So that's just, before I get too far into it, I'll share a video with you that talks a little bit more about that opportunity.
OPPS4VETS.com. Handshakes, not handouts.
So I think obviously this is not what we're used to seeing when we look at an event, an in-person event. Virtual events are changing the industry. The point of this comparison that we're showing here is make sure that what you're signing up for, the juice is worth the squeeze, or if that makes sense. You want to find the opportunities that are right for you. And if there is anyone that's interested in this particular opportunity in becoming a virtual exhibitor, I do have a code that will help get anyone interested $100 off their registration fee. So message me after this and I will hook you up with that. And I believe the next slide is Nancy's. So having a little bit of lag here.
We're going to take the time to do question and answers for your team first.
Absolutely. Thanks for the reminder, Nancy.
Yeah.
And it looks like you guys have been fielding some of the questions already by typing them into the Q&A, which is a nice feature. Just for the participants, if you want to see some of the questions that have already been asked, you can click on the Q&A tab and there should be an answered option. And you can see what some of the Weitz folks have already been working on here. We do still have a couple open questions. Do you want me to go through those? Or?
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah, James, I'm actually answering one right now regarding the threshold for bonding requirement. So let me get that one out so everyone can see it, and then I'll stop.
Oh, okay. You don't want to say it out loud?
Well, I'm happy to. That's probably the best answer. We actually prefer not to bond subcontractors. We really desire to use a subcontractor default insurance program. You may know of it as SubGuard. We were instrumental in partnering with an insurance company about 20 years ago to invent SubGuard. We've since transitioned to another insurance platform. And that's what we prefer to use. In order to get you enrolled in our subcontractor default insurance program, it requires a bit more information on your company, including a fairly deep look into financial statements to understand the financial strength and capability that exists within your entity. So we have a couple ways to go about it. There are some creative ways in lieu of bonding, and we are happy to have an open, candid, and transparent discussion to try to find a way to allow potentially a reduced bonding capacity to work for us on a larger project. One of their questions is this a union project? And the answer is no. The CalVet project is not required to be union only. There is no PLA. It is a prevailing wage requirement by virtue of being constructed for the state of California and ultimately federal government grant dollars. James, are there more?
It looks like the next question comes from Be Great Trucking, and it states, looking to sub and consult with prime construction trucking companies, wanting to be mentored also and build long-term relationships to lean all paperwork of contracts. So it sounds more like that's searching for an opportunity to work together, if I'm not mistaken. If you want to talk more offline, whoever Be Great Trucking is, please make sure to message me. I'd be happy to discuss that with you in more detail.
Sounds like more of a mentor protege type situation.
Yeah, exactly. And it looks like that's all the questions we have at this time. If you guys have any questions that come up towards the end that you want to ask us, we'll still be around. And with that, I will hand it over to you, Nancy.
I do believe there's one in the chat that didn't get put in the Q&A. I'm looking at it now, although James has asked them too. So if you want to look at chat really quick.
All right, let's see. We are an SBE structural engineering firm based in San Francisco. We have done work in student housing, aviation, healthcare. What opportunities are there for us to work with the Weitz company?
So I can answer that one on the CalVet project. I'm not sure that opportunity exists on that project. Part of our design team was selected during the RFQ stage about 6 months ago, and we have selected the firm Miyamoto as our structural engineering firm on the CalVet project. But we're certainly welcome and desiring to know about your firm, your specialty, size of project, areas of expertise, as we do have other opportunities we intend to pursue in California. So I would encourage you to start with Valerie, get with Valerie and let her see your portfolio, your history, your experience, and then we'll get you plugged into the right opportunity in the future.
I will make sure to include my contact information in the chat so everyone can have that on hand. And please feel free to reach out to me with any other questions you might have or just to further discussions here. Looks like we have one more.
One more came in.
This is from our one of our procurement specialists at PTAC as well. So thanks for participating, Ed.
Thanks, Ed. All right, so it says the majority of our PTAC clients are very small subs with very limited contract volume capacity. How many packages are available? Managing a multitude of sub work packages can be difficult, but obviously Weitz has the resources.
Ed, the answer to your question is you're right. We do have the resources to manage multiple entities. There are approximately 60 packages in our bid offering to DGS on CalVet project. We do expect to break those 60 packages down into smaller bite-sized pieces so that smaller firms can participate. It really depends upon the strength of the firm, the area of expertise, and where we think that sub can certainly add the most value, but in an opportunity where we can ensure that that sub will be successful.
Thanks, Bill. The next question we have is from Mary, and she asks, we have IT and project management apprenticeship program. Do you have such opportunities? And they're based in Santa Clara, Mary just added.
Brian, why don't you take that one?
Yeah, so maybe I can take that. I would tell you we are always actively looking for, college recruits. We spend a fair amount of time canvassing the country at various universities trying to get plugged into talent. So again, I would encourage you to connect with Valerie and we'll get that funneled to the right person within our HR group to make contact and learn more. But Yeah, we have a significant IT group within the company that supports the entire business, both within our commercial and federal ranks. Most of that work happens out of our Des Moines, Iowa office, but certainly project management opportunities abound, and those vary across the company. So again, contact Valerie, and we'll get your information funneled to the right HR representative to make contact.
Valerie, there was one more question that Ed asked.
So Ed's next comment, I think it's more of a comment, but it's thank you for your outreach and consideration. I hope we can help you. I assume you're advertising in all the builders exchanges and the Daily Pacific Builder. I can take that one. We are looking, Edward, to advertise and outreach and connect in any capacity possible. So the Daily Pacific Builder is not a channel in which I think we're currently advertising, but certainly something I will make note of and look into, because we want to exhaust all of our resources to make sure that we've connected with anyone who is interested in working with us.
Yeah, and I might add to that, Valerie, our project is currently not advertised in the North Coast Builders Exchange. We are familiar with that group, very, very strong relationship with those guys. We've talked with them about supporting our apprenticeship and internship opportunities on Santa Rosa Junior College and Enzo Village up in Healdsburg. But because we're still competing for the CalVet project, we're competing against two other firms, and our design contains some proprietary and intellectual property information. We need to advertise this through the platform of Building Connected in order to have the non-disclosure agreement signed first before we make the documents available to you through Building Connected. That's why the plans are not in the Builders Exchange.
Okay, we have another question that just came in. It says, working with the senior living design, do you provide any resources post-construction to provide resources with different technologies?
You may need to take that question offline and add a little bit more clarity into the question, because I'm not sure I understand exactly what is being asked.
Well, that's a perfect segue, because I just posted my contact information in the chat. So anyone that wants more clarity on a question they've already asked or wants to just continue discussions, please feel free to reach out to me.
OPPS4VETS.com. Handshakes, not handouts.